But all that we have to do is to just tell them to contain, take it easy, give them sweets to eat, and divert their attention, you see. You know the story of Aloba and others about this, or Alobaji? He is from Prema Ashram also.
Yeah. I don't know the story.
But long after Prema Ashram, something beautiful thing has happened, you see. Aloba used to get all this sort of thing, you see. It means it's known as the Haal. It means you don't do it with a purpose. You don't know what you are doing, but you get so overwhelmed with some certain feelings that overpower you that you just throw yourself, you don't know, you break your head, or nothing happens to your body though. Nothing happens to your body. Yeah.
Is this Hawa?
Haal.
Haal.
So what happened is this, that usually it does take place because of certain environmental situations, you see. The atmosphere that is there that generates these things. The talk that goes on. Don't you all have that experience sometimes? You feel something inside, you know. Something deep down your cockles, you know, they are warmed up, you see, it seems. So it happens like that. There's nothing new in it, nothing wrong in it, but all that is needed is to control yourself. So you derive the most benefit out of it. Yeah. So, but what happens is, there are certain, we all have those feelings, and when we cannot control it, tears come down. They streak down your cheek. It is but natural. And there are many people who feel embarrassed about their tears being shown in presence of someone. Elderly people weeping like that. Or it's not just women or girls weep, but men weep and all that. So there is nothing wrong in it. What's the matter with it? It's just the melting, you see. All that has been there, you know, it's like blocks of ice that are there over our feelings of the heart. It's now gradually melting with the warmth of the sun that is now appearing there within us. So it is a good sign. It doesn't matter. But then just don't try to induce weeping or anything. That doesn't mean that. Don't say that, well, he weeps and she weeps, why can't I get that feeling? You shouldn't do such things. It comes in its own way. It does come. Yeah. Now what happens is this, that all knew about it and all know, those who know Aloba and all that whenever Qawwali programs would be sung, it's a music program, and the wordings are such, it's always a complaint from the lover to the beloved, or beloved's admonition to the lover, and this and that. It's an exchange, happy exchange, you see. So it goes on. This is known as Qawwali program. So every time Baba loved Qawwali programs, and he loved being taunted, you see, by the singers, and this is what you do, and you are supposed to be the ocean of love, and we ask you just a little teaspoonful of love from that ocean, and you are a miser, you don't give us even a drop of it, and this and that. It goes on, you see, it's back and forth singing goes on. So all this is there. I just give you an example. There are many sublime things also said and all that. So invariably Aloba would get emotionally, uncontrollable, and then he would shout out loudly, and he would run to Baba, and he would kiss Baba, and he would tear his shirt, and this and that, all that. And the whole day is spoiled, you see, and Baba says, I can't even enjoy this little recreation. You see, that's all. So whenever Qawwali programs would be held, Baba would warn Aloba and all that sort of thing. So it's a common thing. He should be made to sit far away and all that. Now one day, the humor of it all is, one day is what happened, there was a very good Qawwal who was to be called, and it happened at Mehera, on where the study hall is now. The whole hall was full with people Baba had invited, because very famous Qawwals had offered to sing to Baba, and we had heard about them that they have got good quality of wordings, you see, from different great saints and sages. So they have put them into songs and they will sing out. So it was a fine day, and Baba liked it, looked forward to it. Baba told us that on such and such day this will be this and this, and he had invited people from Bombay, Pune and other places and all that sort of thing. Baba always liked to share the joy, you see, the atmosphere. So he wouldn't forget his lovers. So he called them. Now Baba said one important thing we have to do is how to control this man.
Aloba.
Yeah, otherwise what will happen, the whole thing would be spoiled again, the whole day will be spoiled like that. Nothing could be enjoyed. The entertainment is not there, you see, that he wanted. So Baba looked at one person and said, yeah, Pesi, he was a giant of a man. He was the son-in-law of Baidul. You know, Baidul himself was so Frainie's, Dr. Frainie Foreman, his relative, Pesi was there. He was a giant of a man. He says, Pesi, will you do one thing? Baba calls him and says, will you do one thing for me, for my sake? He says, anything, I'll do anything for you. Says, catch hold of Aloba and sit there at the very end of the hall. And whenever, just keep him holding there. And whenever he tries to move towards me, just stop him from that. So he says, yeah, because all knew Aloba, and he says, yeah, I'll do that, what's there in that? And of course Baba is very happy. Baba says, fine, do that, it will be good. So they are all seated there, the whole hall is filled with people, and Qawwals have started their song. They warm up. It takes about an hour and a half for them to warm up, and it goes on for hours together, you see. So after an hour and a half, they have warmed up and all that, and the whole thing is in a swing, and the atmosphere is now beautiful. The Lord himself is there, he is rocking, and he is this and this. And every now and then Aloba, you see, wants to budge, so that fellow presses him, and Baba is happy that he is controlling and all that, fine. And now what happens is that in the midst of about 2 hours, 3 hours, 2.5 hours passed by, and all of a sudden this giant gets into the spirit. So what happens is, he gets up, and he is trying to run towards Baba. So Aloba is putting his leg. So something happened. So there Baba enjoyed that. He says again the same thing happened. But the characters have changed their roles.
Giant also melted.
Yeah, he wanted to rush to Baba, and Aloba is being dragged by him, and Aloba is pulling him with his hands, stopping him from there. So that is his Leela, yeah.
So the controller has become uncontrollable.
Yeah, the controller became the uncontrollable.
Is this called Hawa? Is Hawa different?
Haal.
No, what's Hawa?
Hawa means a spiritual breeze. You see, you just get a whiff of it. Yeah. Hawa is just like this. Yeah, that's Hawa. Yeah.
What about
condition here?
Huh?
Haal means condition.
Yeah. It's an ecstatic condition.
ecstatic?
Which year was this?
Don't ask me. Don't ask me. You were there?
1955 I was there.
In the hall, study hall?
I remember that, yes.
Yeah, that's must be.
But then I remembered Aloba all of a sudden banged his head.
No, but that was a different occasion. Yeah. There was a prior occasion then.
Oh my God.
And then later on this happened.
What a tumble.
Yeah.
It was a
Chili gets that scene.
One day he broke Baba's little finger also. He jumped on the...
He broke Baba's finger.
This little finger was...
He
broke means a little... Huh?
He jumped on Baba.
Baba went to grab him or catch him.
Baba
when he
tried
was
to catch
falling.
him when he was falling, and then this happened. He hurt
Apparently he
his
still has these conditions, doesn't he? When he went to Amirport,
Yeah, he does.
he was rolling in the dirt.
Yeah. But Baba wants us always to contain ourselves. Yeah. He says, my grace is ever for you, ready for you. It flows like unasked for, unexpected. It is there for you all to have it. But before you all crave for it, long for it, you need to have the need for it, the thirst for it, to go to the river to get the water. But how will you go? You need a container. Otherwise it is wasted. So what is needed is that you should contain His grace. Otherwise it's no use.
Suppose the river comes to you.
That is one of His graces too. But then if river goes to you, then you will be washed away. So you should be like a rock at the time. Yeah. Not like a pebble.
Steadfast.
Yeah.
We were talking this morning at the Pilgrim Center about the very early days, as Baba was coming down, he seemed to go through this Jalali period where he was very abusive.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about that? And
Well,
how
I
that
was
miled
not there
out?
at the time, but then this gives that picture that is there, that gives you some semblance of it. The first one. Yeah. He was very wiry, but very strong and all that. That's what they say, those who were there at that time. Or the books describe the state at that time and all that. And for him, just to lift you by the scruff of your neck would nothing. And he was not that strong or big, you see, but that he would do it. Yeah. He would get in different moods.
Realization.
Huh?
Before realization.
No, afterwards. At Manzil-e-Meem period. Yeah. When he had the collection of the first group, you see. Yeah. They were not as refined as us, you see. So he had to control.
They needed a little kicking around.
Yeah. They needed these little things.
But you see the pictures of him in the 30s, his face and his eyes are totally different.
Yeah.
It's more like Jamali or something.
Then gradually Jamali and then
Balanced.
Yeah. It is there. If you see from year by year, year after year, you see there's a gradual change in his physiognomy. And there have been people who say that, well, one picture doesn't resemble the other.
You see that in movies. In a matter of seconds, the state seems to change.
Yeah. Well, he's like a mirror. Whatever you see is your own moods.
We have a new photo of Baba.
Where is that? It's a doctored one. It's not a photo.
It's from it's a single frame from Nasik 37.
Really?
The movie.
It is?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. That's a beautiful.
The eyes haven't been touched up?
Yes, had to be retouched. It was totally disintegrated.
From what Arjani is clearing up that film from that?
Yes. In Boston, yeah. It's for you all. It's for the ladies. I brought it.
What is this?
Microphones.
Brother, it seems once Baba was traveling, one of his Western tours through Italy by train, and at a small station, the train stopped, and there are only 3 or 4 Mandali members, and Baba immediately alighted there and started running, passed through the gate, entered into a small lane, and these people were worried, naturally worried. They also followed, and then he went behind the station building, at just a small distance, and there two, the fathers of church, two saintly persons, they were standing there, covered their head and all, and Baba went and simply just gazed at them, and they were very much pleased, and then Baba came away. Later on, Baba seemed to have said that my purpose is served. They were waiting for that only.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
It is also in, either early 40s or...
The trouble with us is, or with most of us, not all of us, is that we have not read any literature on Baba. Yeah. So there are in the literature, in the printed pages that you find are the experiences of varied people are there, you see. And so, unless and until we are there on the spot, we know nothing about it.
That is, in fact, is true love, sir. After loving on stage only, you read letters and exchange letters. But once you love, there is no need for letters.
Yeah, that's true. But we had no opportunity to go through any literature of Baba.
When we are by his side, there is the question of Baba.
Yeah, it's very
full opportunity.
That is true. He also did not encourage us to read anything. because really speaking, there was no time for it, no opportunity, nothing of that sort.
Eruch, then you really haven't read the books?
No, I haven't read the books.
So
I haven't.
It could be that the version we get of Baba through books is quite different from what the Mandali experienced. I was told this by somebody, by Adi Jr. He won't read the books either.
I don't know. But the thing is that we have not read. I haven't read Discourses, I haven't read Wayfarers, I haven't read God Speaks, Beams, or anything of that sort. Yeah, I didn't write it. We dictated. I was a scribe, but I later on to sit down and read and enjoy. There was no opportunity. Yeah, nothing of that sort. Listen, Humanity. People talk about it. The Avatar, such good books. You see, Life at its Best, and all. Everything and the Nothing. Although, God-man, and all, Perfect Master that gives the early life. We don't.
How about Showers of Grace?
Showers of Grace. We have been hearing them. Yeah. Our constant companion. We have heard all this from you. Yeah.
Well, God Speaks you read though.
No, I haven't read it.
No?
No, I haven't read it. But no.
You know it.
But he dictated. So whatever, I was the scribe. So yeah. There's one thing that you dictate something and I write. That doesn't mean that I have read it. Yeah, I write. Just as letters are written and all that sort of things, he dictated, and we wrote the letters. Yeah, just like that. There's a fine story about this, that comes to my mind about containing ourselves as grace. Otherwise it's no use. I want to hear this.
Yes.
But it is time for your lunch.
No, after.
So the story leads us to, of course it has nothing to do with Baba, but it's a Baba story in a way, just as you have songs and you say, no, it's Baba's song, although it is not on Baba itself. So it fits into our theme of talk about the grace and all that. What had happened was that there was a certain young man who had a tremendous urge to dedicate his life, to go in search for a perfect master and dedicate his life. And what he felt was that by doing so, naturally, the end result would be that he would be doing good to the world, apart from the community. He had that urge to do good to people, to be of some service to people, that he could gain some powers and he would be able to do good through those powers to them. So he goes out, he's a young man, full of energy and enthusiasm, and he wanders from place to place and all that, in search of the perfect one to whom he can dedicate his life. At last, to cut the story short, he comes to a certain place, and there he comes to a town, and there he hears that so-and-so is a master over here. So he goes to him. He has been to many places, and he thought that, well, let me try here also. After having been to many places, why not try here? So he goes to him, and he sits there, and just somehow or other in his heart of heart, he feels that he has come to the right place. And naturally, he being the master, he must be knowing my mind and my heart and my feelings and everything. So he sits in a corner. And then after a certain time, the master says, well, all disperse for the day. So they go away. Again the next day he comes. A month and a half passes by, and seems that the master has not even turned his face to look at him and interrogate him whether, who are you, why have you come? So he feels a bit uneasy about it. Has he noticed me yet or not? So once when master orders the people to disperse, when they have left, he crawls to the master and says, Master, I have come to you. He says, oh, who are you? When did you come? He says, I'm here for the past 2.5 months. Oh, you come here every day? He says, yes, Master. Good, I'm happy. So, well, he is satisfied that at least his attention has been drawn now. So he comes. Somehow or other in his heart, he feels that he is the one who can give him what he is in search of. So he comes, another 6 months pass by, and nothing. Master never took any notice of him, neither does he take notice of anybody, you see. So again he has the urge. He is genuine, he wants something. So he comes again seeking his help. Master, I have been with you. Who are you? So, but I'm here. You remember you asked me some 4 months ago. I am so and so. Oh, you come here every day, every time you come here? I said, yes, Master, I come here. I come here I want your grace. Oh, why didn't you speak up? You want my grace? Why didn't you speak up? But I'm just here. So you want my grace? Then I must put you to test. Whether you can digest my grace, hold my grace, contain my grace, whatever you call it, you see. So this is, I'm prepared for anything. I want to dedicate my life at your feet, to be with you, to live with you. I have been wandering all these years. I'm happy, he says. Do one thing. When you come here tomorrow, remind me about it. So remind you? I will remind you. He's just feeling, what sort of a person is this person? He's all-knowing. He's supposed to be all-knowing. He's supposed to be the master of all hearts and minds. So he comes the next day. He again sits there, and then, well, all have dispersed. And then again he draws his attention. I have come. He says, who are you? So he says, you had told me to remind you about what? You told me to remind. I said that I want your grace. Oh yeah, right. It's a big thing. You do one thing. You come tomorrow morning, early morning, before they all come. And I have to test you, isn't it? I told you that. He says, yes, Master. So he says, all right. So then the next morning he comes. He's there.
Early in the morning.
Early morning. So he comes there, and the master says, yes, what do you want? Master, you called me. For what? So you said you want to test me. Oh yeah, that's right. You want my grace. Oh, right. So I just want you to do one thing. We'd like to have a test. Okay, so do one thing. You know, there is that city gate. There are at the time, early years, you have the gates. Cities were locked. There used to be walls, and there were different gates in different directions. So you go to the northern gate and be there till the time the gates are closed this evening. And anything that happens to you, well, anything noticeable, you just come and report to me in the evening. Whatever the time it be, you come and report to me. Means report to you what? All the happenings. So whatever that touches you, whatever you come and report to me, whatever you feel like reporting.
Unusual.
So,
Unusual.
Whatever it is. He never said any unusual or anything. Whatever you feel worth reporting, report to me. So he goes there, all enthusiasm and all that. And then what he sees is the donkeys pass by, the camels pass by, men go, men come inside, women go, women inside. The whole day passes by, through the gate, inside the gate, coming in towards the town, going out of the town. All the humdrum daily life is there. There's nothing worth reporting. The whole day is passed by like that. He's sitting and watching. Is there anybody? He notices some persons, notices this, notices that. Nothing unusual. It's all humdrum life is there. And he said, what to report to him now? There is nothing that has happened. All I see is just this. So I'll report to it. And why he says that? Because he sees from a distance the warden who comes with the key, to lock the gates. So he's coming, he can see that. So just at the time there are huge gates, so he pulls the gates there, he gets them together. So while he is doing that and about to wind the big chain round to lock the gate, all of a sudden there is an old man coming from the distance there, outside the gate. He is shouting there. And there he looks. He is so old, doubly bent and top over it. He has a pile of wood on his back. Fuel wood. So he is shouting at the warden. He says, please, please wait for me. Don't lock the gate. I have to just enter the city. I have just come. And as he has not taken any notice, and he locks. Just then the old man is there. He says, please allow me inside. I have come now. So why the hell did you come so late? Could you not come early? Don't you know that the gates are shut now? Why do you take such a long time? So I was in search of wood and this, I'll just come and please take me in. I'm an old man, I can't bear the weight and don't allow me to be here, otherwise I'll be eaten up by the wild beasts and all that. And he goes on pleading. This man is noticing this drama that is being enacted. And he says, why can't he open the gate and get him inside? An old man. He is so frail and old and doubly bent over there and to top it all, he has that burden of woods and all. Why can't he get inside? And while he is feeling like that for that old man, what has happened is that but the man is abusing him, the warden, and says, get out from here and I know you always do that and this, but please, and he pleads and he begs of him, he bends and all that sort of thing. At last he opens the gate. He unwinds the chain, opens the lock, unwinds the chain, and just shifts the gate a little, and puts his hand there, and picks up the whole burden of wood, that little bundle that they have, and gets the twigs inside, dry twigs there, and says, get out from here now, that will serve the purpose now, I unburdened you now, I can't take you inside, I am not supposed to take anybody inside, I just unburdened you of all this. And he's bending double and he says, prostrating and says, please, please, don't allow me to be here and all that. Nothing doing. And this man, he just locked the gate and went away. The man is this man, means the aspirant of the truth, is so infuriated. He says, such men in the world can't have any pity for an old man like that. Had I the grace of the Master, I could have. He wants to just turn the whole world topsy-turvy, because of the old man, And he comes back. He, of course, returns because the gates are closed. Now he's returning to his master to report. So then he returns there, and all that his feelings are all stirred up. He says, could not that man open the gate and allow the man there inside? But if I had the grace of the Master, I would have had the power and I would have done so. I would have knocked open the gates and this and that. All the time the mind is there. So he comes to the Master. He says, you have come back? He says, yes. Anything that you found to report? How did the day pass by? He says, the whole day passed by, that humdrum, traders coming in, traders going out, goats and cats and donkeys and camels and men and women. Just that, whole day passed by like that, nothing to report. There is one thing that happened just at the time when the gates were locked. What is that to report? What did he feel? So he reports the whole thing. So he says, then what happened? Is there anything to report? He says, I felt like if I had the grace, your grace, I could have done wonders there. I could have allowed the man to come inside. The locks would have fallen, the chains would have broken, the gates would have broken and all that. I'm sorry you have failed in the test. He says, why? What happened? How could I have failed in the test? What did I do? He says, well, I can only say that you have failed in my test. No, but what did I do? He says, what did I do? What can I tell you? You know that old man, who is that man? It is the grace of the old man that I am what I am. It is because of him. That old man is my master. And it is because of his grace I am what I am. Whatever the people may be thinking. You have yet to learn how to contain the grace. He could have not only opened the gates, he could have not only just blew a whiff of his breath on that man and killed him. He could have done anything. He is the man. He is that man who was petitioning him, who was begging of him and wanting him to open, pleading with him. He is the one. His grace is what has made me. Do you know what the meaning of grace is now? You need to contain the grace. Just a little flare up and you said that I would break this and you do this and you destroy the world like that. What is that? So try to learn, my boy, try to learn to mold the container, to contain the grace.
Thank you.
Jai Baba.
So we are always expecting him to help us out and his grace be upon us and all that, but then we should learn to contain it.
How good was his eyesight?
Good eyesight.
Never had glasses.
No. That he hides from us and we can't hide from him. What is this?
Yeah, it's kind of unfair.
It's not fair.
It's unfair. No equilibrium.
Yeah.
But it's also not fair that he has so much to give us, we have nothing to give him. So.
Well, we have to give our imperfections to him. Plenty of imperfections we can give him. Pardon?
I was asking if he was going to tell us how he came involved.
No, I just came here because it was easier to hear.
Oh, he has some story?
No.
Oh, really?
No.
Come on.
No, I have none.
When we dispersed?
No, yes, when we dispersed, but I didn't come back after lunch.
Oh, you didn't come back after lunch?
Did I miss something good?
Oh, yeah.
Did you get it? You didn't get it either? Shucks.
Yeah.
Sorry, stirring story.
Pardon?
A sorry stirring story.
Sorry? Or it is said so, dead man tells no tales. You heard that?
Mm-hmm. It was the name of a Nero Wolf story.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. But whatever it is, I had heard when I was in school and colleges. This is an adage. But here we have been hearing the dead man tells the tales. So we had two such stories today.
Oh, I thought he got them.
Well, you'll hear from anybody. Yes, she was here. You can ask her. She has a good memory. Debbie. Pardon? You didn't hear? You were not here?
Even if I was here, I probably wouldn't have heard it.
She can't even remember if she was here. How many people?
We were saying, see, those who were here, I was just at the time where I didn't want the thing to be disturbed because people might misconstrue these whole things. Is Dolly here?
No, Dolly's outside.
Yeah.
She's afraid you scared her off.
No. I didn't scare her off. But what happened was that which Baba didn't want us to dabble in was the very thing used by the dead person to bring the whole family to Baba. So what I wanted all of y'all to know is, what Baba tells us is, I want you to do things that I tell you to do, but I don't want you to do as I do. So he may be using us, he may be using the dead to bring us to him, but he doesn't want us to dabble with the dead, but through Ouija board or writings or anything of that sort. Why don't you put them there?
Because you're here.
that is what I wanted to tell those people. Especially the ones, Mr. Rathore and others.
Eruch, being that yesterday was Silence Day, did Baba ask everyone to be silent on that day or anything particular?
Yeah, Baba once remarked, I still remember, he wanted us to observe silence, especially in the late years. You see, in the early years, the silence day would pass off unnoticed because we were so busy touring here, there and all this. 10th of July had no meaning at that time. But then he brought home to us. One day he passed around a circular saying that I would want you all to fast on that day or observe silence. That's how it all began. And then in the late 60s, I think, he even circulated a circular saying that no matter what it is, I want you all to observe silence for 24 hours on 10th July. That's how it came about. So we had to observe silence, but then at that time about fast and the options were given for fast and silence, so he would ask us to observe silence. So we would be observing silence. Then when he had told all his followers all over the world to observe silence, and naturally we were observing silence too. And one day he tells us on the silence day that the worst day for him is the day when we observe silence. When we are observing silence.
The worst day?
Yeah, for him, because it was so cumbersome for him to understand or to relate ourselves to him. It was very difficult. So naturally we tried to emulate his gestures. And he didn't like that because we were so crude in that. Really, he was very eloquent with his gestures. Yeah. His silence was eloquent. There's no doubt about it. Sometimes when we try to use the fingers, I still have that experience that they are not fingers, they are stubs compared to his fingers. You see, that's true. So then what happened is that he then permitted me to speak out while he is here. His gestures and all that, but others would keep silence. And when he would leave the place, then you do that to me. Shut your trap. And then you go. Then when he will come again, then he'll ask me to speak out. So then speak. Yeah. That's how it was.
Even the sound of laughter or even that is not allowed or something?
No, it is allowed. Everything is allowed. All what we are doing now.
If you are observing it, then not to do that much also.
Yeah. It is better not to do it because silence means silence. But if it happens, it doesn't matter, he says. Why we are observing silence is not just to emulate him or his silence, but just to perpetuate the memory that for so many years he observed silence. It is in honor. It's just an offering from us. What can we offer in return for his silence? But just to take upon ourselves that ordeal for one day, as to how he must have. And what we do at that time is we just try to keep quiet and to be away or go to theaters and see pictures or have tape recorders around us to create noise and so that we can feel that it's the same atmosphere, nothing new is there. Or play volleyball in silence.
That's what we did yesterday.
You did it?
Yeah.
You never admonished those blokes there that you shouldn't do it?
What?
Those residents?
Not to play volleyball? Why not?
It
was done in silence.
Here is a priest, you see, and he's setting an example like that.
It was all done in silence.
It's all done in silence.
Except
it was not done at all, you may call it.
Except an occasional damn.
See how it is.
When you missed it.
Yeah. So why give an opportunity for an outburst?
We sit in the Pilgrim Center and all you hear is thump, 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 thump. Then all of a sudden, you're all clapping their hands and you hear thump, 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 and another round of applause.
I was really impressed
I thought they had given themselves such a challenge to do this.
Yeah, that was hard.
No, but we were given a month-long silence, and we had to do all the work, chores. We had to go to the offices. We had to.
A month?
We related ourselves among the people.
Month-long?
Month-long.
When was that?
There was a period, I forget. Dates, you see, are my weaknesses. I can't remember.
Just before the new life, is that it?
I forget now. Even the periods I forget. 1 month long. The old... Month-old silence.
For us?
For duration, you might be remembering. Adi? Silence.
Yeah, it was in the 50s sometime.
Before 50.
Because I was nowhere in the picture.
Why you were?
I came in 60.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. With us, now, even the years and the age.
I did 21 days under Baba's order.
21
days silence.
21?
21 days, yes.
When was
but
that?
I was made to go out everywhere, not to keep at home. But I was on holidays, that's one thing. I was at home, but not to keep myself at home.
Go
to
out.
the pictures, go and meet your friends.
Yeah, we used to do that.
Somebody comes and tells me, I cannot answer. My throat is paining.
Would you write?
No, my wife would be by my side. But had to do 21 days. Twice I spoke in the 21 days. Once my son came in from office, and he is in the habit of saying, "Can I come in?" So I would say, "Hello son, you have come in?" So I just said, "Ayo dikla tum?" And that's months. And the second time something happened. So in 21 days I spoke twice.
That's pretty good.
I wanted to have fast, keep fast for 21 days. I want to keep silence. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. I gave a full list to Baba. Out of that, he gave only this.
That's great.
We were on Mehera's porch this morning. We were talking about silence, and I don't think that there wasn't anybody on the porch that made it through yesterday without breaking their silence. But somebody was telling this funny story about Rana when she went to
Myrtle Beach.
To Myrtle Beach.
The phone ringing.
That's so funny. What was funny? Oh, the phone rang and rang at Kitty's, and apparently there was somebody calling from off center from the community, and Rana listened to it, and it rang and rang, and finally she got up and she said, "Doesn't anybody ever answer the phone around here?" And then Kitty said, "Yes, but it's silence day."
That's great.
They answered it, they probably would hear silence on the other end.
I turn on my answering machine on silence day. Give a message with a recorder.
That is the silence day.
It's silence day, and call back tomorrow.
By proxy.
By proxy.
Well, we all can afford that. We can't. We use slip of paper and show. But the funny thing that we come across on silence days, there are certain times some emergencies arise, and the ones who bring the emergency news, and they first blurt out, and then we speak in silence with gestures and all, and then they become silent totally, and we say, "You speak out," we write, "You speak," and tell us, and they again that's one thing we noticed, that a sort of a spell is cast.
It's contagious, yes. Yeah. It's like if you whisper to somebody, you start whispering.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we whispering?
I have a friend who thinks it's okay to whisper on silence day. He wants to observe silence, but he thinks if you just whisper, it's almost like silence.
Who says that?
It's my uncle, Paul.
Oh, Paul, yeah.
Was he talking out the side of his mouth like this for silence? Wasn't it one of the monthly beginnings sometimes? Some old man.
Gaver's father used to do that. Yeah. Through his lips. No, but just imagine his silence, how many years of his silence. And he was not silent, really speaking. All the time, interacting, replying, interrogating, everything was there. Totally active.
Right, I noticed that my silence usually is a very passive silence. I withdraw.
Yeah.
I don't communicate. His was the opposite.
Yeah, the opposite.
Right.
I wonder whether if he were to speak, would he have been so active? Yeah, it wouldn't be possible.
Not so animated.
No. Yeah.
It's like when you see deaf people who use sign language. They are so alive and so full of expression.
Sometimes I think of Baba in the last, you say how much he suffered in the last year to make any motion, but just to speak he had to move, so it must have been terrible for him when he had to say anything.
He continued till the last 15 minutes, I know that. But it's not just the fingers. When I say that his silence was very eloquent, the whole thing was in motion, including his eyebrows.
Well, the expression system.
The expression
is the face
system,
and the hands are the expression system of the body, not just the voice.
No, not the voice. More expressive. And I don't know how he could get the right expression, through his gestures, and so vivid they were that one could understand that. You know that story about a stranger when Bhav had come for the first time.
Bhav Kalchuri?
Bhav Kalchuri. A couple of years passed by, and then Baba took him out for must tours also with us. So we had gone in car, and it was afternoon time, and Baba said, let us stop for tea. There was a small tea stall or some mountain top somewhere there, a rickety thing. So I was driving, I stopped the car, parked it somewhere under the shade of a tree, and then I went inside that little shack that was there called the tea stall, and to wash the cups. They are very dirty people. For Baba at least we have to be very careful. So I would go there and try to wash the cup and saucer, and then see that the kettle is properly clean and all that, because they never wash the kettle or anything for boiling water and all that. Water is which sort of water? Otherwise they use the same water that we wash our cups and saucers, they boil the water. It is a fact, I tell you. So we have to be particular. So I went there and prepared tea for Baba. And then Bhav was there near the opening the door of the shack. I said, Bhav, go and give to Baba. Baba was seated in the car with his legs. He turned out at the front seat there, legs dangling there. And then he was handed over the cup of tea. And he poured it in the saucer. He would never drink from the cup.